Welcome to Embracing Love. Let's begin tonight with a meditation. So we can close our eyes, start to settle into our bodies, reconnect with our bodies. Feel our feet on the ground, connecting us to the earth. Feel our legs above our feet, our hips in the chair, connecting us to our seat. Shoulders above the hips, our head above our shoulders. Let's start with a deep cleansing breath. Inhaling, breathing in fully. Then exhale. Starting to let go of the day, unplug from the frantic pace of life. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling deeply, feeling the ribs expand with air. And then exhale. Letting go of stress, letting go of tension, settling into this moment. Now, I invite you to bring your attention to your navel chakra, right around the area of the belly button. Let's begin imagining a feeling of relaxation, starting right there in the center of our body. Just starting around the belly button area, warm, soothing, calming relaxation feeling, calming the belly, calming the abdomen. Might feel good to squeeze those abdominal muscles for a moment and then allow them to relax and be soft. Feeling this relaxation spreading into throughout the abdomen, through our internal organs, the intestines, the kidneys, the liver, the sides of the abdomen, the back, the lower spine, the hips, feeling everything relax and settle. Now we can imagine this relaxation moving down into the hips, the sides of the hips, the front of the hips, the bottom of the hips, the big glute muscles, allowing everything to relax. And then let's imagine this relaxation spreading down into the upper legs, those big thigh muscles, big femur bone in the middle, inner thighs, the outer thighs. If it feels good, you can squeeze those upper leg muscles and then allow them to relax fully. Allowing this relaxation to make its way into the knees now, the kneecap, the sides of the knee, the crease of the back of the knees, allowing all the knees to relax. As this relaxation soothes its way down into the lower legs now, the calf muscles, the shin bone, the inside of the leg, the outside of the leg. It might feel good to flex those lower leg muscles for a moment and then allow them to relax fully, allowing the calves to completely relax. Next, you can imagine this soothing relaxation moving into the ankles, the front of the ankles, the bony points at the sides of the ankles, back of the ankle, the Achilles tendon, giving lots of love to any injuries in your ankles, and allowing this relaxation to spread down into the feet now, tops of the feet, arches of the feet, the heels, balls of the feet, finally the toes. Might feel good to wiggle the toes, bringing your attention to each individual toe, and then allowing the toes to be completely still, allowing the feet to completely relax. And then let's bring our awareness up to the torso, feeling that warm, soothing relaxation moving up into the ribs, the lower ribs, the sides of the ribs, the back of the ribs, sternum, and feeling organs on the inside relax as well, the lungs, the stomach, the heart, feeling the entire chest and torso relax and be soothed. And then we can imagine this relaxation moving up into the collarbones, shoulder blades, shoulders. You can roll the shoulders up the ears and down and back, allowing them to be soft and relaxed. And then we can imagine this relaxation moving down into the upper arms, through the armpits, to biceps and the triceps and the bone in between, inside of the arm, the outside of the arm. Might feel good to contract those upper arm muscles for a moment and then allow them to completely relax. Feeling this relaxation spreading down into the elbows now, crease at the front of the elbows, the bony point at the back, the sides of the elbow, allowing the entire elbow to relax. And feeling this calm, relaxing feeling moving into the lower arms, to the forearm muscles, the bones in between, inner arm, the outer arm. It might feel good to squeeze those lower arm muscles for a moment and then allow them to fully relax, allowing the arms to relax completely. As this relaxation spreads down into the wrists now, back of the wrist, the inside of the wrist, the sides of the wrists, allowing them to relax completely. Then allowing the hands to relax, the back of the hands, the palms of the hands, the thumbs, the knuckles, the fingers. Might feel good to wiggle the fingers, bringing your attention to each individual finger. And allow the hands to be still, relax completely. And we can bring our attention back up to the neck, throat, the front of the neck, sides of the neck, back of the neck. Allowing the neck to relax completely. If there's any pain or tightness or tension in the neck or shoulders, just imagine the muscles unwinding completely. Imagine the tightness loosening. Imagine the pain dissolving. And we can imagine this calm, soothing relaxation moving up into the jaw. Feels good. You can wiggle the jaw to release any tension. Allowing the jaw to relax completely, allowing the mouth to relax, the teeth, the tongue. Feeling this relaxation spreading up to the nose, cheeks, sides of the face, eyes, eyelids, eyebrows, forehead. If it helps, you can scrunch up the face for a moment and allow it to relax completely. Allow the forehead to unwrinkle. We can imagine this relaxation moving into the sides of the head, the ears, temples, around the back of the head, the base of the skull, top of the skull. Finally, feel this relaxation moving up around the curve of the skull up to the very tip of the head, crown of the head. Now let's take another deep, full inhale. Breathing in, feeling the lungs expand with nourishing air. Then exhale, feeling a wave of relaxation washing down the entire body, from the head all the way down through the chest, through the legs, out through the feet and into the ground, washing away all stress. Let's do that again. Inhaling, breathing in deeply. Then exhale, letting the breath wash away all tension, all tightness, all negativity. Let it all wash down out of your body, through your feet into the ground. Let's do that one final time. Breathing in, filling up in that purifying air. And exhale, letting that breath wash down through the body, washing away anything that doesn't serve you. And just wash down into the ground. Now let's sit here for a few minutes, feeling this calm, soothing, relaxing. If you like, you can imagine on the inhales, feeling the breath wash up the spine, wash up all the chakras to the crown of the head. And the exhale, feel the breath washing back down, all the way down the central energy channel of the body, washing away all pain, all tension, all negativity. Any thoughts that arise, allow the next exhale to just wash them down out of your body to the ground. you're ready, you can start to deepen your inhales. Start to bring your awareness back into this present moment. When you're feeling ready, you can open your eyes and rejoin us. All right, how's everyone doing?
Better.
Me too. Awesome. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of this, as I've been thinking this over, it's kind of like a dirty little secret about self-love. And that is that even though we can love ourselves, we can give ourselves love, we can show ourselves lots of love. For many of us, and for myself included, it wasn't until I received unconditional love from someone else that I first was able to start loving myself unconditionally. And this is because a lot of us, we have wounds from our childhood, wounds from growing up that taught us to not love ourselves, or that wounds that caused us to close our hearts and um, close our hearts to love, which makes it hard for us, hard to love ourselves and hard to fully love in general from these wounds that we endured, often in relationships with other people. And so these wounds that we accumulate from relationships can often only be fully healed by in another relationship. So and this is not a new idea. This is something my therapist has told me, and I've seen it, I've read it in other sources. This idea that wounds that we receive in relationship can only fully be healed in a relationship. And so even though it is very important to love ourselves and to practice giving ourselves love, practice making ourselves feel loved, one thing that really helps do that is to receive a source or have someone else reflect unconditional love back on us. And once we experience that feeling of unconditional love from another person or people, that can make it a lot easier for us to break through the shell surrounding our heart and start to love ourselves and give ourselves love. And so for me, I've talked a little bit about this before, but the first time I really started feeling that unconditional love reflected back to me was at the yoga teacher training I did in 2020 with MC Yogi. And I mean, particularly him, he just, I don't know if he consciously does it, but he just radiates unconditional love and makes people feel loved and accepted exactly as they are. And then that kind of sets the tone for the whole group. And so I just felt surrounded by all these people that accepted me and loved me. And so that was the first time I didn't use those words at the time, but that's the first time that I really started being able to love myself, was when I had that experience of being loved by this group. And that was particularly powerful for me because, as I've talked about before, one of my big wounds was from being rejected by peers, being rejected by my group or by other students when I was around in middle school. I think that's when it really started. And so that was a big wound for me, making me feel not worthy of love, making me feel like an outsider, making me feel rejected by my experiences from just being an outsider and being a weirdo in middle school and getting made fun of for weird things that I said. And so for me in particular, receiving this reflected unconditional love from this group of people, from these group of peers, did a lot to help me heal that wound that I had. from middle school and helped me start to dissolve the protective shell around my heart and reconnect with my heart and start to actually view myself as worthy of love, view myself and being able to give myself love. And then I had another really powerful healing experience a few months after that, in April of last year, when I went to that breathwork retreat with Yaima and the Inner Light Revival folks. And there, I had this spontaneous healing session with this woman, Tammy, who's now my therapist. I met her at the conference, or I met her at the retreat. And just kind of spontaneously, it happened at like midnight on Saturday night of the event. We wound up talking, and she talked me through, since she's a therapist also, so she kind of talked me back to this original wound I have from childhood, from my mother. I've talked about that a little bit in the past. And then she just reflected this unconditional love to me in kind of like almost like a motherly sense. But that again, that experience, and she did some Reiki too. I don't really understand what she did, but she did something that really, really helped heal that other wound, this other mommy wound that I had. And that was when I really started, that really opened my eyes to this idea of unconditional love, because she talked about unconditional love. She talked about how we all need to feel unconditional love, and that's a wound that we all have at some point. And so that's what really got me on this whole idea of focusing on love and loving ourselves. And it was after that I really started the practice of giving myself love and started making myself feel loved and continually working to heal these wounds that I have and bring more love into my life. And so that's kind of like a little paradox or a little catch-22, is that sometimes in order to feel like we can love ourselves, we need to have someone else reflect love back to us. And I think that's something that's often overlooked with this idea of self-love, because I know it's really popular in like the spiritual and self-help and new age circles right now, this idea of self-love. But oftentimes, and I've seen this played out, I've seen other people talking about this, there's this idea that we have to love ourselves fully before we can love other people, or before we can, especially in the context of romantic relationships, there's some people get this idea that until I heal myself, I won't be ready for a relationship. And that can be, it's not linear like that. It's not like we heal ourselves first and then we can be worthy of a relationship. They go hand in hand. So healing ourselves and healing our relationships, they play off each other. The more we love ourselves, the more we can love other people. And the more we feel love from other people, the more we can love ourselves. So it's not, we have to do one before the other. They both, we can pursue them both, and they both help us. They both help each other, and they lead to this feedback loop that allows us to bring more love into our lives in all different avenues from other people. It allows us to help open ourselves to feel love from people, allows us to open our hearts and reflect love unconditionally to people. And it allows us to open our own hearts and give ourselves love. And so that's kind of, as I'm thinking through this and figuring out what I'm doing with this. And I don't know if it's become clear, but Jen and I have really started working together on this whole embracing love thing. And what we want this is to be a space where we can all reflect unconditional love to each other and help each other with these wounds, help each other believe that we're worthy of love, and help each other feel love in our hearts from each other. And so I think, it's kind of been going on. I hope you guys have felt that or got a sense of that. Cool. Yeah. But I think we're just trying to be more conscious of that, more conscious that that is a purpose of these sessions, is to come together in community and just share love with each other and reflect love back to each other. Because we all deserve love, and we all have these wounds from relationships that make us feel like we don't deserve love. And so these relationships that we have here, this collective community we have here, can help bring love and help heal those wounds that we all have. Yeah, so I think that's enough talking about that. So let's meditate on love now, and then we'll come back for a discussion. So let's close our eyes once more, settle into our seats. Feel our bodies in the chair, feel our shoulders above our hips. Let's take a deep cleansing breath to get settled. Inhaling, breathing in fully. Then exhale, relaxing, settling into the body. And for this meditation, let's do our favorite fourfold breath of love meditation based on the box breathing. We'll inhale for a count of 4 and visualize our bodies filling with love. Then hold the inhale for a count of 4. Imagine our bodies just shining with love. Then exhale for a count of 4, pushing that love out through our body. And then holding the exhale and imagining an aura of love surrounding our bodies. So that's the basic idea. And we'll talk us through it to begin with, get us into the groove. So let's start by exhaling together to clear all the air from the lungs. And inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 2, 3, 4. And hold, 2, 3, 4. So inhale. Imagine we're breathing love into our body, filling our bodies with love. And hold. Imagine the body just shining with love. Maybe it's a red gold light, or maybe it's pastels. Then exhale. Now imagine we're pushing that love out through the body, through all the cells, all the veins, all the pores of our body. Then hold the exhale. Imagine this aura of love surrounding the entire body. Inhale, breathing in, filling up on love. And holding, seeing the love shining through our entire bodies. And exhale, pushing that love out through the body, healing our entire bodies as the love moves through. Then holding the exhale, seeing this love surrounding our bodies, healing, loving our bodies. Continue that pattern on your own for a few minutes. As you're exhaling and pushing that love out through the body, really imagine that love pushing out all toxins, all stagnant energy, all negative energy. We're holding the exhale. Just imagine pure love and healing. It's healing our entire bodies. And if there's one particular part of your body that needs extra healing, you can imagine a stronger current of love flowing through that part of the body, giving extra healing, extra love to that part of the body. When you're ready, you can allow your breathing to return to normal. Allow your awareness to come back into this shared space. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and rejoin us. All right, so are there any questions or comments about what we talked about before, about this idea of how sometimes we need to receive love from others before we can love ourselves?
I think it's a really big concept, but I think it relates a little bit to what we talked about last week. But that you're always a work in progress, and so you have to be able to continue to do that and live your life at the same time. Which we kind of get different messages about that, like you were saying, like fix ourselves, love ourselves before we can go out into the world and interact with others or get that from others. But I think it's really important to think about and make sure you're aware of, because also if you aren't if you've had bad experiences and you aren't experiencing any love back from anyone else, you don't really know the true way to feel it.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that I think, yeah, I kind of glossed over. I mean, I should have talked about that more, about loving ourselves, or going through the practice of loving ourselves and trying to give ourselves more love makes it easier to recognize love in other people, and also I think to attract to us real love from other people. And so, yeah, it is important. I mean, all those ideas that tell us to focus on loving ourselves, those are all true. It's all um, real and all important. Um, but yeah, I don't think we don't need to get hung up on being fully healed in ourselves before we start looking for love from other people. Although, like you said, if we're conditioned, if we have a long history of only finding um, abusive relationships or unhealthy relationships, then we may need to spend some time focusing on ourselves first and loving ourselves first in order to recognize and find more genuine, loving relationships. So that's a really good point. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, that is spot on for what my therapist and I were talking about today as well. Like it's and like you really need to have someone show you what that love looks like, because otherwise, I don't know. I know I can't be the only one. It sounds like that is dealing with um, trying to break these patterns of conditional love that I was taught growing up by my parents, and of course ended up selecting that in many partners in my earlier, like, yeah, dating age, like, yeah, like earlier times, my late teens, 20s. And in my spouse and partner, I looked for someone that would love me by those conditions that I was comfortable with. But was it unconditional? Absolutely not. And so learning how to break those patterns, um, yeah, you do need to love yourself, but it helps so much to have someone be able to reflect that back to you. So,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like for me, having a model of what that love looks like allowed me to then really focus on giving myself more of that unconditional love.
And I found kind of like what you were mentioning earlier that, just through nonstop work for years on things, that you really do get back what you're putting out, whether you're really aware of what you're putting out or you're not meaning to, like how you're saying with MC Yogi, you don't know if he does that on purpose or he just does it. I think he just floats and does it. Like, it's just how he is. But, and we all have things that we're putting out, whether we know it or not. And when they are healthy and you and a little bit more positive, tend to get those things back. It's not, if you're not doing well, you're always going to bring terrible people around. It's just I've seen that it helps overall in all relationships. if you've got a better acceptance of love and yourself.
And in
Right.
all relationships too, because love comes in so many different contexts, like friends and just, yeah, people you surround yourself with. Yeah, I love that you said that because it's so true. So true.
Yeah, and not just romantic relationships. I think a lot of times, a lot of focus is given just to love and romantic relationships, but there's, like you were saying, there's love is available from so many different sources, from friends, from healers. I think any good therapist, like probably most traditional therapists are kind of trained to not give. They probably don't think of it in terms of love because they're trying to like maintain this clinical relationship, but and in a sense, I mean, one thing, in addition to love, is just acceptance of who we are exactly the way we are. And I guess that's one thing therapists, hopefully good therapists, are providing, is just accepting us exactly the way we are, and allowing us to express ourselves, express all the things we're ashamed of, and still be accepted. I think that's an important step along the way of learning to love ourselves, is just to feel accepted for all the bad stuff that we have, or all the things that we think are bad within us, but they're just part of who we are.
And everyone has that.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's really true. I can see, just as we're talking about this, I can see the pattern of my friendships over the years and how they've changed, and certain friends have fallen out of my life. I'm like, oh, it's because I learned how to love myself a little bit better, and I'm not going to be a doormat. Oh, okay. It's a blessing. It's a good thing.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's
and
also,
that's loving
oh,
yourself.
What was that, Maria?
I just kind of cut out. I think, yeah, part of loving yourself is setting boundaries and cutting off unhealthy relationships.
Definitely. Yeah.
and that's the thing is you don't know where anybody is at any time, and about like not having friendships in your life at certain times. Like I know that when I got myself out of my marriage and into starting to help myself, more people emerged, and I you don't know why necessarily at first, and you definitely are trying to hide if you're trying to heal, but you don't realize how much other people can see really what is going on and what you're putting out there, even if you're trying to make everything's perfect. Like it doesn't necessarily work, is what I've learned. And people come back when they see this. If because some people can't, they don't have the capacity to be around something that's going on negative. Do you know what I mean? So there's that way too, the opposite way, that you got to meet other people where they're at.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. I'm glad you said that, Courtney. Thanks.
I saw a billboard like on the highway and it said, "Fight addiction with love." And there's like a kid sitting on the ground. Have you guys seen this?
Haven't seen that. 100% agree with it, but haven't seen it.
It was like this like teenager like sitting, like it looked like an alien. It's like, fight addiction with love. I'm like, huh. But the last few summers they've offered a teacher PD professional development, and it's like teach through love. So like, yeah, the love thing is definitely coming into all the different areas, because like when I first started teaching, you would never talk about like loving your students. That's not professional.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So we
that's
do have this idea that love is all just romantic, but that's so not true. I mean, our first love, that what we're taught, is from our parents.
right.
Yeah. Breaking those patterns. Whew.
Yeah.
Therapy.
And often those first wounds are from our parents or our caregivers. So yeah.
Yeah. Not that they're intended. And it's like, it's just them repeating the same patterns of things they've been taught, but yeah, learning how to love ourselves through that. It sure does help to have someone reflect that unconditional love back to you, so you can at least get an idea of where to go from there. So
Yeah, and just what it feels like, and so that we can remember that feeling and try to recreate that feeling in ourselves.
Very good topic this week. Not that they're ever bad. I'm just saying.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been something that's been on my mind lately. So
It's so true though, that like we're all just mirrors reflecting off of each other. So the more we can reflect that love out into the world, like the better. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. All right, so let's do another meditation. So we can close our eyes, settle into our seats once more, settle into our bodies once more. Feel our feet on the ground, our hips in the chair, shoulders above our hips, head above the shoulders. And for this meditation, let's focus on giving love to our wounded inner child again. As we were talking about, so many of the obstacles that prevent us from loving ourselves stem from our experiences in our early childhood, the wounds we received in our childhood. And so anytime we can start to heal those wounds, start to give love to our inner child, it helps us be more open to love. It helps us be more receptive to love. So for this visualization, imagine yourself as a child and allow whatever age wants to pop up in your mind, allow that to pop up. Don't overthink it. Don't try to pick a specific age. Just allow your intuition to guide you to imagine yourself as a child at some age. And maybe you imagine yourself at a time when you were feeling a lot of pain, when you were feeling wounded, some an experience or some event that happened to you as a child that still comes to mind, still it formed a prominent memory for some reason because it affected you, because it wounded you. So just allow your intuition, allow your heart to suggest a younger version of you to pop up in your mind's eye right now. And maybe you walk through the scenario that's playing out, you walk through the wound that happened, you walk through the pain that you suffered, and allow yourself to revisit it, allow yourself to feel that pain again. And then love yourself through it. Maybe you imagine you're loving that child, that former you, that earlier version of yourself that's suffering through some kind of pain, suffering through some kind of wound. Just imagine you're giving that younger version of yourself a big, loving hug. Maybe if it feels right now, you wrap your arms around yourself, give yourself a hug, give yourself a squeeze. Imagine you're giving this younger version of yourself, this wounded, crying, hurt version of yourself. Imagine you're giving them the love and the comfort that they didn't receive at the time. maybe if there's some specific words that you want to hear that'll help heal that wound. Maybe words like, I'm sorry. Words like, you're not too much. You're perfect exactly the way you are. You're worthy of love exactly the way you are. You're, you're special. You're worthy of acceptance exactly the way you are. Just whatever words you think you want to hear, say them to yourself as you're hugging yourself, giving yourself love, giving your inner child love. If you want to make this more active, maybe imagine as you're breathing in, you're filling up on love like we've done before. As you exhale, imagine you're squeezing this love into your inner child, your younger self. When you're ready, you can start to deepen your inhales. Bring your awareness back into this shared space. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and you join us. So we're a little over time. Jen, if you have to run, you can go. Great seeing you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much. Yeah, great to see you ladies too. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Me too.
So for you, Courtney and Maria, so how was that exercise? Is that helpful at all?
Yes, actually, I would love to do more inner child work. It's like I never thought this stuff would be so interesting. I find it very interesting.
Yeah, I think that's something Jen and I have been talking about, how important this inner child healing work is, because that's, like we're saying, that's where all our wounds come from. And those wounds influence all of our relationships throughout the rest of our lives. And so I think, yeah, it's really fundamental to get in there. And so, as you go about the week, kind of maybe think about what particular parts of yourself need more love. What are some of those wounds, and what are some words that will, or actions that'll soothe those particular wounds, depending on what exactly happened to you. Just think about what would help heal it. So that's just something to think about in the next week. And we'll talk about this more. So yeah, so I think we're about out of time. Any final questions or comments?
No, I want to show you that during that last meditation, when Vol came back, he brought me this.
What is that?
His fuzzy mouse.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
He felt you needed that.
Yeah, he could tell that I was radiating and needing some love, so he brought me the mouse.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I was thinking of like an experience I had when I was 5. My great grandpa died, and he was living with us at the time. And I remember like at his funeral reception, like everyone was crying. So I was like kind of crying because that's what people do when other people cry. And then I remember an adult saying to me, "Oh, don't cry. It's okay. He's in heaven now." And so then I felt bad for crying.
Right.
So during this visualization, I just pictured myself as my adult self comforting my child self, which
That's
sounds
perfect.
kind of goofy, but like
That's perfect. Yeah.
I was like, this is really nice because you can't undo the event, but
Right.
you can comfort your now. So I'm like, well, who would I want to comfort me? I guess me, right? Because that's ultimately the whole goal here, is to heal yourself. So anyways, that was one event that I remember because I was little. I didn't really understand, like, why wasn't he there?
Right. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, that's exactly what we need to do. That kind of thing. Imagining these experiences that we had that affected. I mean, if you still remember it now, it clearly affected you the rest of your life, right? So that's significant. That's something that needs some healing, something that needs some love. So awesome.
I think like the first time that we did this, it was difficult for me. Not because I didn't understand the concept, or not because I don't have anything wrong, because that's not it. But as we continue to do it, it seems easier. Also because I'm someone who tends to block things out, like that are bad. They go to,
Disassociate.
yes, absolutely.
Most
So
people do, yeah.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
so doing it more and more helps, at least the practice helps to try to actually get in there and find exact situations, because like I said, locked in a box somewhere.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Yeah, it takes some time to kind of get used to it and start kind of like digging around in there and like, what's buried down in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Great. Well, I'm glad to hear that that's helpful.
Definitely.
And yeah, we'll be doing some more of that for sure.
Good.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're over time now. So thank you all for joining. It's been great seeing you, and see you next time.
All right. Great to see you guys. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Sorry.
Bye.
Bye.